Afternoon, guys. This is Luis. Once again, let's try to demonstrate one of the few things that we have learned through the class. And this time we're gonna deploy AppB through an SCCM console. Okay, we're gonna try to deploy applications that are created on a sequencer and gonna deploy it through the SCCM. For that, we're gonna need a couple of requirements that we also gonna deploy with it. As you can see, I'm gonna use this beautiful tool called the Remote Desktop Connection Manager. It's a tool that you can download for free also from the website, and it allows me to connect to multiple uh, VMs at the same time without having to go to back and forth from the Hyper-V connector. Hi, first things first, we're gonna start on the SCCM machine. The SCCM machine is running over here. All of my machines are running over here. As you can see, we have the DC, the NAT, SCCM, Windows 8.1 sequencer, the Windows 8.1, and two other machines that I just deployed for the heck of it. I deployed those two machines using the same SCCM that you see here. Hi, let's go to the SCCM, our SCCM in our SCCM, I should say, I have already created a source file folder and I share it. This file, this folder, inside this folder, I also created an app.b folder. Inside this app.b folder, I got the app.b client and these two other files. Okay, the app.b client, as you know, we get them from the CD, from the optimization CD, Microsoft Desktop Optimization CD. We can get it from there. And these two other files, this is the C++ 2005 distributable, redistributable 86, and this is the 2013, C++ 2013 redistributable. Uh, as you can see, well, you can't see it from here, but these two files are etc files. Remember that it's very difficult for the SCCM to understand etc files. So first thing we're going to do is the app.b client. The app.b client is deployed as an MSI. So we need to extract the MSI out of this package. This is an etc file. As you can see over here, this is an etc file, but we're gonna extract from inside the etc file the two MSI, and we do this by the layout command switch on the file. The layout switch, what it's gonna do is that this file over here, the app.b client that we got from the optimization CD, it's gonna extract it. Once that's done, you're gonna see the files being generated over here. Alright, so we are not gonna use the client anymore. We are not gonna use the x86 file, and the end of user, we also can delete it. So we are gonna delete those files over here. Now, the second thing, this file over here is the x64 file. The x64, like I said before, is the 2013 redistributable for C++. Alright, and this is the 2005 redistributable. The 2005 redistributable also has the two MSIs inside. The two MSIs inside. Instead, this time we're gonna export it. We're gonna extract them from that file with the C switch on the file. All right. So once that's done, it's gonna ask us where do we wanna save it, and we're just gonna go back to our folder. We're gonna navigate to our folder, app.b over here. We're gonna click OK, and that should do it. We can safely delete these 86 S86 files since we already have it extracted over here. It extracts into two files. Don't worry about it, because once we import it into the SCCM takes over and deals with that. Now, the 2013 redistributable cannot be extracted. For some reason, Microsoft decided not to be able to extract those files, so we're going to use that 2013 redistributable as an etc file, but we're going to work around it so the SCCM can understand it and the SCCM can deploy it. All right, let's go back to the SCCM console. And as you can see, we are already over here on the software library. We're gonna go to application management and we're gonna create a file. We're gonna create an application. First application that we're gonna create is the 2005 redistributable. We're gonna browse for the path on the app folder. And as you can see, we have it over here, the app folder is going to understand the MSI files, but as you can see over here, this always indicates an error. The error is telling me that I need to specify the UNC path. So we're just gonna specify the UNC path. UNC path for this specific file is my computer name SCCM is in the source file for the app B, and then the file over here. I'm gonna click OK. Gonna click next, and we're gonna fill out the information for this demonstration. We're gonna leave everything blank. As you can see, it adds the switches and everything. So we can click OK, click next, and we're gonna close this. As you can see, we already created the 2005 reduce readable. Okay, now the second step will be to create the second application, which is the 2013 redistributable. 2013 redistributable, as you remember, is an etc file. SCCM does understand etc files, but we had to go through an extra step just in order to deploy it. In this wizard, we're gonna create a manually specify the application information. So we're gonna go through the wizard. I just copied this from the other file. As you see, this says 2005, but we're gonna change it to 2013. 2013 redistributable. Everything, you can fill out everything. I'm not gonna bother right now with this information, so we're gonna continue. And in this screen, in deployment types, you're gonna see that it's asking us to add a deployment type, and if we click next, it's not gonna allow us. It's gonna give us an error. So we're gonna have to specify a deployment type for this MSI. Windows MSI, doesn't matter. We're gonna manually specify the deployment type information, and we're gonna call it same thing, 2013 redistributable, and we're gonna fill out some information over here. Okay, is current location is just the folder. Remember that the current location is just a folder, it's not the file itself, it's just a folder. In this spot over here is where we're gonna specify the folder, which I already forgot what the name of it is. So I'm just gonna copy and paste over there. This is the name of the file, and remember that it has an etc extension. And now these switches, they have to be specifically in this order, and they have to be specifically for this specific file. 2013 redistributable is an etc file, so we're gonna have to put some switches that you can find them if you Google them. I spent all night trying to find them, so it's just take them from me. This is a lot easier. We're gonna specify that it's a quiet. We're gonna specify that we're gonna install, and I think I misspelled this. install is gonna be a quiet installation and no restart. Okay, so we got the folder over here, we got the file over here with these switches: install, quiet, and no restart. All right, all of this is gonna be in the description of the video at the end, so you can just copy paste from this to your VM. Okay. Uh, Once again, we click next, and this is gonna bring us to the deployment type. The deployment type, it again is gonna ask us the specific of the deployments, and in this specific session, it's asking us how do we know if the file is already installed or not. If you read over here, it says create a rule that indicates the presence of this application. Uh, the way that I got it to work is if we browse the computer for a Windows installer, and the product code for this specific Windows installer, yes, these are my notes. You're gonna have those notes also at the end of the video. Alright, so I'm just gonna copy paste from here to my VM. This portion that I highlighted over here is the code for the 2013 redistributable. Is the Microsoft embedded code identification number for the 2013 redistributable, C++ redistributable. So as you saw, I just copy and pasted it over here. Again, this Windows, it's what it does is it's just telling us that this file, once it's deployed, is gonna browse the computer. It's gonna see if it does have it. If it does have it, it's just gonna skip it. If it doesn't have it, then it will allow it to install. So once that's done, we're gonna click next. User experience, we can skip through all that. The requirements and dependencies as well, we can skip through all that. Next, and then close. It's gonna bring us back to the first screen, and we're just gonna finish with the wizard. We already have 2005 redistributable, we have 2013 redistributable, and the third application that we're gonna create is the AppB client. AppB client is over here. Again, it's telling me, because I browse, it's telling me that it needs the UNC path, so I'm just gonna replace this with my computer name, folder, and then the client. Since it's an MSI, the MSI is gonna read most of the information over here. Like I said, most of the information over here, because if you see over here, there's this one switch that we have to input manually, and this is only for 2013. This is only for the AppB client. The AppB client. AppB client is gonna require for you to input this: accept end of user license agreement equals 1. Accept ULA equals 1. Alright, after that we're gonna click next, and those three applications have been created. After this, we are going to create our application, and I'm gonna move over here to the Windows 8.1 sequencer machine. As you can see over here, I injected the CD for the optimization CD. We're gonna browse through it, and we're gonna find the sequencer. We're gonna install the sequencer machine. Application virtualization sequencer setup. we're gonna go through the wizard, we're gonna install the sequencer. We do not want to join the error reporting systems, and we're just gonna go through the base, through the wizard, and we're gonna install the sequencer. Okay, while this finishes, actually it's already finished. So we're gonna start the sequencer as soon as this is done. Alright, we're gonna close over here and we're gonna find the sequencer. We're gonna type sequencer. And while it does that, uh, let's see what can we install. Okay, let's install the Genome as a virtual application. So we're just gonna browse. We're just gonna Google. We're gonna Google whatever it is, whatever application it is that you want to deploy. In this case, like I said, I'm gonna install the Genome. If you ask me why I'm gonna install the Genome, it's just because it's easy, it's simple, and it's small application. Small application that in some cases you might want or you might need it in your environment. So you can see that it's available online, and then you can download it and deploy it as an app. You're gonna save this to the desktop just for convenience. And this is going a little bit slow, so I'm just gonna pause this for a second and come back to you guys when it's done. And we are back over here, guys. As you can see, I don't know why my computer, my internet service took so long to download, but it took about 2 minutes to download. So we can see the Genome over here. We're gonna close this out since we don't need it anymore, and we're gonna go back here to the Microsoft Application Virtualization Sequencer. We're gonna create a new application, and it's gonna be a new package. This is gonna go through a couple of tests telling me if the computer is actually ready to create a virtual application, and it's telling me that we need to uh, it says Windows Defender, we need to get rid of it, and this is the same thing, the active search and the pending restart. Okay, we're gonna take care of that, and then we will come back to the sequencer. In order to do that, let's find Defender, since it's our major concern. The Defender is an antivirus from Microsoft, as we all know, and it's preventing us from installing the applications, from creating the application, I should say. Okay, we're gonna go back over here to settings, and we're gonna turn this off for the real-time protection, and then administrator, and we also gonna turn off this app. That should take care of the Defender. And Defender is gone. Okay, we're gonna refresh this, and we're gonna see if it's still saying that it's active. It's not active. It's just gonna take a second. And Windows Search is active, and this is pending restart. I honestly don't know why it's pending restart, but we're gonna restart this machine just so we get that message out. Since I am in a virtual machine, it's not gonna let me to restart through the through the power session. So I'm just gonna do it through, as you can see, there's no power over here. So I'm just gonna do it through the command prompt. shutdown /R for restart, time 0 seconds. Alright, we're gonna restart this machine and then we're gonna go back to the sequencer and see what's going on. And as you can see, we are back here to our Windows 8.1 machine. We're gonna try that again. We're gonna try the sequencers to sequence an application once again. Let's see if we can. Yes, Microsoft and the error messages. All right, let's try again. Let's try this to create an application. We're gonna go through the wizard of creating an application, and as you can see, we do not have any errors at this time, or warnings I should say. So we're gonna go ahead and create the application, which I'm pretty sure you guys know how to do by now because it's as simple as just going through the wizard. We're gonna create an standard application and we're gonna browse for this installer. As you remember, and as you can see, we save it over here to the desktop, so we're gonna select it. We're gonna give it a name, and it will work better if I didn't have caps on. Okay, we're gonna go through the wizard. The wizard is gonna launch the installer. We're gonna go through the wizard from the installer, and then we're gonna go back to the sequencer. As you can see, the installer was launched automatically. We're just gonna go through the wizard, the installer wizard from Genome, which is just nets until you get to the end. And I guess it wasn't as small as I thought it was, but yeah, it's basically a really small package. It should be about 30 to 40 megabytes, so that's why I decided to deploy this package instead of anything else. Has a lot of dependencies as we can see, but again, it's just going to be compressed under one file. Once the installer is complete, we're going to click finish, and then we're going to go back to the sequencer. The sequencer is asking us, are we finished? Yes. Are we finished installing? Yes. Then the sequencer is going to create the package. Before we get to the end of creating the package, before we get to the spot where we had to create the package, we're gonna have to run the Genome just to make sure that it has installed properly, and if we need to change anything on the settings, or if we need to change the locations of it, whatever kind of changes do we had to make to the Genome application, we can do it now, and it will be replicated to all of the machines once we deploy. We didn't change anything, but just to make sure that it worked, we run it, and all these other files, even though they're here, but they are not necessarily, they do not need to be run. So we're just gonna click next over here, and now this is the step where the sequencer creates the package. As you can see, it's just asking us for the last steps over here, and we're gonna create the package over here. Once this package is created, we're gonna transfer it to the SCCM, and then we're gonna be able to deploy it from there. The way that I'm gonna do that for demonstration purposes, it's sharing the desktop of this machine. I already did, but I'm gonna show you guys. I share this machine's desktop, so I'm gonna be able to pick it up from the SCCM machine. Alright, it's giving us a small warning over there. It says it just make sure that everything's working properly, but it should be. So we're gonna close this, and we're gonna also close this. We see the Genome folder over here. for the application. If we go inside, you're gonna see the application over here, the installer, and all the necessary files to run. All right, so let's go back to the SCCM machine for 1 second. We're gonna connect to that sequencer machine. If I remember correctly, the name was Win81-sequencer. Student, I think. Okay, yeah, and with this. Alright, we're gonna browse, and we have the folder for the Genome application over here. Alright, so I'm just gonna drag it to my app B folder. I'm gonna paste it over there. I should not need this folder anymore, so I'm just gonna close this. I'm gonna close this other folder, and we're gonna create the application for the Genome. We're gonna go through the same wizard that we went through to get those three other applications, but instead of an MSI file or a manually specified file, we're gonna go over here and we're gonna choose Microsoft Application Virtualization 5. Once there, is gonna ask us for the folder where application lies. Again, like all the other times, it needs an UNC path. So I'm gonna give it my UNC path, SCCM machine, sold folder, app, the genome, all that. MSI, I'm sorry. The application is gonna ask us for the information. We can fill this out if you like. I'm just gonna leave it as it is. Next, and it's gonna create the application. Once the application is created, we're gonna close over here. And as you can see, we have all the 2005 and 2013 redistributable, which are the dependencies, the requirements for the app client to run. Once these three things are installed, we're gonna create a bunch of applications or a bunch of virtual applications. In this case, I only created the DIA genome, and that's what I'm gonna use for demonstration purposes. Deployment types over here, it's one deployment, but we haven't deployed anything to any of the other machines. So even if the applications have been created, the users cannot see these applications. So we're gonna deploy these applications in real life or just for the different liking. We can distribute the applications first, distribute the content, and then deploy. Or if we want, we can also, deploy it, and then it's gonna upload it automatically to our distribution point. We're gonna click over here on the deployment. We're gonna select our collection, which is gonna be to all systems. This application is going to be deployed to all systems, and this is where we specify the deployment type, or the distribution point. We're going to be selecting our distribution point. As you can see, I only have the one distribution point, which happens to be the same machine. We're going to click OK. We're going to click Next. It's going to be available for the let's go back here. We can specify if this application is going to be installed or uninstalled, or if it's going to be available or required. Most cases we're going to click require, but we're going to go through the available step just so we can see what's going on. But like I said, in most cases when it's something that is going to be necessary for all of the machines, we're going to click require. We're going to leave it as available for now. We're gonna go through the wizard, a bunch of stuff that we don't need to change right now, but you can go through the wizard and read them. Most of them are self-explanatory, so I'm just gonna click next, and we're gonna close once it's done, and that application should be deployed. We just did 2005. We're gonna do the same thing for all the other applications. We're gonna go through the same wizard for all the other applications. And again, we're gonna, instead of user collections, we're gonna select devices collection. This is a major step that most people miss, but again, we're gonna go through the wizard and bring everything up to the distribution point. That was application number 2 out of 4. We're gonna close this and we're gonna go to the diagram. It doesn't matter in which order you deploy them. Just remember that if we do select require applications, if we choose the deployment to be required, we need to specify first of all a time frame for the application to be required to be installed. And if it has any dependencies, we also have to create the dependencies on the required steps. And only going through the motion, and I'm only going to install this. I'm going to make this available, and as you can see, I'll have one deployment except for the client, which I'm going to deploy now. Same steps that we did for the previous applications, we're going to do for this one also. And that should take care of everything. So far so good. We have created the applications, we have deployed the applications. 2005 distributable, redistributable, 2013 redistributable. There are requirements for the AppB client to run. The AppB client is of course necessary for all the virtual applications to run. Once everything, all the applications have been created and deployed, we gonna go we can go to the Windows 2001 machine, but in my experience, it takes a little bit longer for applications to show on the software center. So we're gonna go ahead on this other machine, which is a machine that I created for test purposes. We're gonna see that all the applications have been created and they all run. We're gonna search for the software center. And at the same time, we're gonna go to the control panel and we're gonna find the configuration manager. Configuration manager is just this tiny snapping that we use to connect to the configuration to the SCCM. And in the actions tab, you're gonna see a lot of actions over here that we can run. For the software deployments, these are the ones that we need to run. The software deployments and the SCCM. Okay, let's go back. Software Center. Software Center connects to the SCCM. All the applications that and the SCCM that we deploy through the SCCM are going to be shown over here on the Software Center. Software Center is installed by default when we deploy the SCCM client. So the configuration manager, what it does is try to get those cycles a little bit faster, or if we run one at a specific time. So we're gonna run these cycles, and we're gonna force it to get the applications now. As you can see, I'm only running these cycles. Windows installer source. We're gonna run, and it gives me enough screen over here that is telling me that it's going to take a couple of minutes and whatnot. We're going to click OK, and then we're going to try to refresh this and see what happens. We're going to try to refresh the software center. Okay, and after giving it a minute, you're going to see that the applications are starting to populate. And we should have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have all the applications here now. So, so you can see we have the Dia Genome, we got the ABI client, we got the 2005 distributable, and the 2013 redistributable. These three applications should we have chosen the require instead of the available option, they should have been already installed. But since we click on the available option, we chose the available options, they are only sitting here waiting for us to install it. Like I said, if there are requirements for some application of yours, then you should have just picked the required as an option, and they will automatically be installed on this machine. That's the difference between required and automatic and required and available. Available is just going to show it over here on the screen, and it's going to sit there waiting for you to install. If you click required, you give it a time frame and it should populate, and at the same time it populates over here, it's going to install, it's going to start the installer in the background. Let's install this and see what happens. We are installing the 2005 redistributable. Just gonna take a second to finish since the package is so small. After that, we're gonna pick the 2013 redistributable, and then since those two are required for the ABI client, then after the two prereqs, we're gonna install the ABI client. It was successfully installed over here. We're gonna pick the 2013 redistributable. 2013 redistributable is installing over here. It's successfully. Okay, and the ABI client, since those two are required, has to be the last one to be installed. And as you can see, all of the three apps were successfully installed on this machine. So the only one that we have over here available right now is the Dia Genome. The Dia Genome, as you remember, is the virtual application that we created on Windows 2008. For testing purposes, I did this application in 2008, and I tried to run it. I'm gonna try to run it on 2012 R2. Usually, and preferably, we're gonna create the application, or we're gonna sequence the application on the same OS that we're gonna run it. I could have done that. I don't know why I didn't, but since 2008 and 2012 R2 are so similar when it comes to a structure, I'm pretty sure it's gonna have no problem running. Now, if the application was created on, for example, on Windows 2007 or below, which the structure of Windows was so different, then you will have to create the application on 2007 to run on 2007 on a 2007 machine. Everything, like I said, everything above Windows 8, Windows created a new set of folders and a new set of a structure that is completely different to the previous versions of Windows. And over here, as you can see, the Genome was completely successfully, I should say, it's successfully installed. Everything seems good, so we're gonna see if we can find it. and it should run with no problem. The genome is over here. As you can see, we can create a shortcut. Let's actually pin it to the taskbar for easy access. We have the genome over here. Yes, before it comes out, I'm gonna say it. Yes, it gives me a failure, but it's, if you see and if you read it, it's just due to network traffic. My computer is running on a single machine, and at the same time, I'm recording and downloading all the files in the background. So yes, it's gonna give me this error. But as you can see, why did I close that? I don't know, but okay. But as you can see over here, the genome is fully functional. It's right over here. It's the same thing as having a application actually in the machine. It's running flawlessly, I should say. And there you have it. The genome is being run. It's being run automatically and virtually inside this machine, and it's without having to install it. And just to prove a point, just to show you guys that is not installed, we're gonna go to the programs and features and see if it's there. And we no, we don't see the genome. We see the 2005 through 2013 redistributable. We see the app client that we installed, but not the dia genome. The dia genome runs virtually. All right, and just for sakes, I just want to run it one more time just to see everything runs perfectly and smoothly. All right, so there you have it. There you have it, guys. We install, we deploy Visual C++ 2005 redistributable. We deploy 2013 redistributable. After those two, we install, deployed and installed app client, and last but not least, the most important part of the day, the applications that we decided to deploy, the virtual application that we decided it's, to deploy. Alright, guys, I hope this has been educational. Thank you for watching.